one of my favorite action games over the past 5 years or so was God Hand, which Mr. Inaba, of course, was a producer on. So in the Rising trailer, we've seen a lot of over-the-top action, which to me is very reminiscent of God Hand and some of Platinum's other stuff, even though that was at Clover, but I mean, it's the same sort of pedigree there. So number one, has Mr. Kojima played God Hand? And two, was there any particular game in sort of the Platinum or Clover catalog that you said, okay, I've seen this game and they can bring the same sort of action to Rising that we need? So, I mean, was it God Hand or was it some other game, or I guess, what about Platinum's pedigree made you pick them?
I haven't played God Hand. I only saw the trailer, and I thought it was the perfect stupid game. It was a ridiculous game. I loved it.
稲葉さんたち、神谷さんも大好きな人なんですけど、すごい。
Mr. Inaba, Mr. Kamiya, I love them. I've known them for a long time. I think it was 1999. Yeah, correct. Well, 10 and something years. I've been knowing them for a long time now.
稲葉さんは初対面で年俸を聞いて引き抜こうとしました。神谷さんも会うたんびにうち来いと言ってます。
The first time I met Mr. Inaba, my first question was, how much are you earning? And I've been trying to get them to Kojima Productions from that point. Mr. Kamiya, even when I see him right now, I'm still trying to convince him to come to Kojima Productions.
僕ちょっと真剣に考えましたからね。年俸安いって言われたんで。
I really consider it because he said like, "Oh, you're not earning nearly enough."
でカプコンさんのクローバー時代の
From back then, when they were in Capcom, when he was working in Clover, I loved the titles they were making. Especially Okami had a huge impact on me. That game, I remember when I was playing it, the action felt so good. It made so much sense with the artwork that I played through some levels, and then I just had to stop. I couldn't play anymore. I was too jealous about the good game they had in hands. That's how much I like their games. So from back then, I have been thinking, someday I will make, with their action elements, we will challenge the world, making great games. And well, this time maybe it wasn't the ideal process, the way we got working with them, but I'm very honored to be working with them.
最初にですね、神谷さんディレクションお願いしますと。
So the first thing I did was I went with Mr. Inaba and told him, I want Kamiya to direct this game. But then Inaba told me, if you work with Kamiya, you will be delayed, and you will be very delayed. So I thought about it. So, and another thing is, I wanted to work with Mr. Kamiya in Rising on other projects, but he said, oh, well, there's this whole game in Konami called Getsu Furumaden, and he said, that's the only title I care about it for Konami. So I had to think about it, and well, I had to give up working with Mr. Kamiya. Being completely honest, I was worried about the schedule, but more than that, I could clearly see that at some point, if they work together, Mr. Kojima and Kamiya were going to have a huge fight, and I had to step in as the producer. I didn't want to be a part of that, not even if I was dead. So I would love to see them fight, but not if I have to be involved. So that was my advice.
今回のディレクションはプラチナゲームさんの方のディレクター。
So for the director of this game, we are not announcing him at this point. You will have to wait for that. But it's someone from Platinum. It's the team itself that is working on the development. It's been a team that has been working with Mr. Kamiya for about 10 years. They had great experience at making action games. Every time you need someone to make something faster, close, or whatever you want to make them faster, I think there's a special fee, like turbo speed or something. I think they don't get that at Konami. They just keep you telling from Kojima Productions, make it faster, but no special fee for that.
High speed action ですからね。
It's high speed action. So you mentioned God Hand was mentioned. That was a very hardcore game. I love that, but I don't want to take Metal Gear Rising that direction. And I also don't want to be like plain and too simple. I want that game to be in the sweet spot of action games where you have fun, but it has some depth.
For Mr. Inaba, Platinum Games to this point has only released original games. Was there anything involved with the decision of working on somebody else's property? Was there any resistance to that internally? And are you available to work on anybody's property now if they approached you?
When we just started in Platinum Games, we had nothing. The only thing we could work on was on original games. That's the reason, and well, we thought we were confident that we could make original properties, so that's what we work on that. One thing about Platinum Games, I'm the only producer that we have, so if I'm not excited about a game, we will never work on that. And the problem about Metal Gear Rising was that when they proposed this project, I was really excited about that project. At that point, I think I had already lost the battle. I didn't care about how much I was going to be, my staff was going to have a hard time. I didn't even consider thought about it being an original project or other people's IP. It was just about me being very excited about the project, and well, that was it.
My question is for Inaba-san. At this time, Kojima-san came to you for the project back in the summer of 2010, but at that time, you guys are also working on Anarchy Reign with Sega. So, from what I understand, Platinum Games is a fairly small studio compared to a lot of the other developers in Japan. How are you like balancing between these two projects?
Certainly, we are not a very big studio. I think we're a very small studio, but one thing that we have is that we are very based on the talent, on the abilities of each individual we have. So every person works the amount of person for 3 people. Their talents really come in hand. Other companies would be surprised at how small our teams are. But then again, I'm very confident that our quality isn't lesser of anyone's. We're as good as anyone out there.
コジプロは一人で何人分ぐらい働いてもらってるんですか?
In Kojima Productions, how many people work per person? Like one person makes how many people?
2.5 ぐらい。
2.5、あ、ちょっと低いです。
2.5 people. Every person makes the work of 2.5 people. Oh, we won.
僕が20人分ぐらい。
I work about 20 people's worth. In Platinum, probably the more I'm excited about something, those 3 may become 4 people that each person has to work for, but they're making a great job so far.
僕らもですね、小島プロダクションの元となったその時、メタルギアソリッド1を作った時はですね。
So in Kojima Productions, when we made Metal Gear Solid 1, our team had like 20, 30 team members. Right now in Kojima Productions, we are working with around 200 people. The people, well, working with them, they remind me a lot of many things because we are working in a somehow international style, North American or European style development. So when I take my team members to Osaka to see how Platinum Games are working, they are very impressed. So we were working like them 10 plus years ago. We were working like this next to each other. They had, well, I saw what they do. They have no time for meetings. They know exactly what the person next to them is working on, so the decisions are not done in meetings, but right there on the spot. They have real-time decisions, feedback. You know exactly the results of everything you said right there on the spot. It's a very old-style way they're working in Osaka. So I found that I took my team members. When we came back to Kojima Productions, they were seriously depressed.
This question's for Mr. Kojima. You mentioned in the video that you were looking at different Western developers to handle Rising. So for you, what set Platinum Games apart from those studios, and especially since it's a studio that their style is very different from the Metal Gear series?
そういうふうに見えるっていうのはちょっと僕不思議なんですけども。
I find it very interesting that you think we're so different because I think they, like something like the soul of making games, the will to make games. I think that's Platinum Games is the closest studio there is, at least in Japan. We are really close to them in that regards. Now, when you think of action in Japan, Japanese companies, Japan games, they're by far the best. So I had no doubts in my mind when I approached them. I love Mr. Kamiya, Mr. Inaba. I love them both. I thought, well, this is a chance for us to work together and see if we are friends for real or not. Well, Platinum Games, they are in the Kansai area of Japan. I am from that area as well. Actually, Konami comes from that same area, from the Kansai area in Japan, from Osaka. Also, Mr. Minami, the CEO and president of Platinum Games, he is from Osaka. My friendship with Mr. Minami goes even back far, more than 10 years of relationship with him. There's a very interesting thing about this Kansai area. In Japan in general, the perception towards entertainment isn't that good, it's negative, but in the Kansai region, it's positive. There's a positive reception, such as an attitude there is in North America regarding entertainment. Also, Mr. Miyamoto is from the Kansai area. Actually, more than around 40% of the people that are game developers come from the Kansai area in Japan. We have that feeling that we can put our lives to entertain people, for people to have fun. So that's something that we have a lot in common. That's very scary to hear, and sitting right next to him, I think the appropriate answer would be, I will try to fulfill your expectations, but honestly speaking, I think I have to challenge Kojima Productions. That's what I honestly think.
これで期待外したら次パーティーであっても素通りするでしょ、小島監督。
And if I don't meet his expectations, next time I see Mr. Kojima in a party, I'm sure you will ignore me, right?
素通りじゃなくて叩き切ります。
No, I won't ignore you. I will just cut you in half.